Greetings. Welcome to my weekend market recap, 2nd September 2023. I'm Sagar Nandi, retired IT professional, swing trading stocks using the Q systems and techniques that I developed in both the USA market as well as some global markets. You may contact me using my email IDs info@superiorprofit.co or tradingprofitably@gmail.com. I regularly share live stock and market analysis on my website superiorprofit.co, Twitter handle now X, Superior Profit, and YouTube channel Trading Profitably. All these are open to the public and you are most welcome to make use of them. I think the ideas that I share are very valuable. Why I say so is because I look at multiple dimensions, the market level, sector industry rotation, fundamental analysis, of course, technical analysis, and sometimes, if required, even seasonality analysis to come to a conclusion regarding first about preferred trading direction and then trading ideas in that trading direction. They tend to be truly high probability, low risk trades. And I share my analysis live before knowing the results always. So you may check out how they are working out yourself. Sometimes I do review the ideas that I shared in the previous week. I may do that this week as well. Disclaimer, this demonstration is for educational purposes only. I am not an investment advisor. It is not a trade recommendation. Trading involves risk. You and only you are solely responsible for the outcome of your trades. Options trading can be risky. You may refer to the characteristics and risks of standardized options document from OCC to decide if options trading is suitable for you. I use the Q systems to make trading decisions and only Q systems. Q has multiple components as I showed. All of them run on the Metastock platform and the technical analysis component runs on TradeStation as well. That was the last slide. Let's continue with the live systems. First, let's have a look at dollar index. Dollar tends to affect the USA market quite a lot. This is dollar index, not the ETF. The advantage of studying the dollar index is that it is moving during overnight market as well, whereas UUP does not move during the overnight market. Now, of course, market is closed. What do we see from the at a glance weekly daily charts? The weekly is indecisive. It even has one of the indecision signals. In the daily, on Friday, we have a bullish shape candle. We also have bullish momentum flow. However, it stopped right at the trend line resistance. If we look back earlier, it displayed bearish indecision, then bearish headwind, then bear release, and price came down. Came down but stopped right at the yellow direction line and then went up, stopped at the trend line resistance. So you may see that it is now moving inside a range. If it breaks to the upside, that will be bullish for dollar, may not be so bullish for the market. If it comes down, it will be bearish for the dollar, that may be bullish for the market. Currently, I have no preferred trading direction on dollar index if I could trade that. Let's have a quick look at the global markets, and remember, I am not trying to have everybody trade in global markets or try to have the global markets traders to trade in the USA market. But the important thing is how to apply the Q 360 degrees analysis, covering all the dimensions and how we come to a sensible decision on what to trade, when not to trade. Looking at the global market shows that it works on all markets, that builds confidence to take the trade for your market when the signals appear. This is all ordinaries Australian index. It is moving inside a wide range, both in daily as well as in weekly. It is right in the middle of the range. That's a no trading area. But let's look back as we often do. Q guidelines is when it is moving inside a range, try to buy at the lower edge. We could buy at these points using proper signals. Like in this case, it would be the bull release with bullish shape candle. At this point, we had bull release, but not a bullish shape candle. So you don't buy on this day. Next buying opportunity would have come on this bullish flow candle that was also a bullish shape candle. So we could buy on that day, but not at the close of Friday. That is too late. Australia, Australia's all ordinaries moving sideways in a no trading area. Topics index, Japan's market. It was also moving sideways. It is moving sideways. The upper edge is defined by watermark resistance, lower edge defined by watermark support as well as trend line support. So it's moving sideways. Now it is at the upper edge. The weekly is very bullish, went above the watermark resistance. It is far away from the recent swing low. I don't buy at those points. Instead, I may wait for it to calm down, thereby creating a false upside breakout in both daily and weekly. And at that point, if that happens, look for shorting opportunities in individual weak fundamental stocks in weak industries. What if it does not come down but goes up? Then I will not like to buy immediately. I will patiently wait for a pullback and then price to go up again, thereby giving me a flow trend following long setup. So I may look for a box short setup or a trend following long setup. I will not like to buy it as a breakout from sideways range. This is the second global market we studied. Moving sideways, no preferred trading direction at present. China's CSI 300 index. This is also moving sideways. I'm doing this analysis live, by the way. I didn't look at the charts before. I just came back from a tour. And this is the third global market I'm reviewing together with you. It is also moving sideways in the middle of the range. That's a no trading area. So sideways, no preferred trading direction. Let's look at FTSE first. I will look at India market last because I have some comments to make on that. Some additional comments to make on the Indian market. FTSE index incidentally is also moving sideways in both weekly and daily, and it is in the middle of the range, no trading area. Interestingly, for all these four global markets we studied, we could buy at the lower edge with confidence using proper trade setup. Here I don't see FTSE gave a meaningful buy setup on any of these days because it had upper tail on all the days except on this day, but that was already too far from recent swing low. But when we had the bull release signal, we could look for individual fundamentally strong stocks going up in strong industries with low risk buy points. That would be the time to buy, not now. Now let's look at India's Nifty 50. Nifty 50 is the large cap index. It is similar to S&P 500 in the USA market. It is also moving sideways. Isn't it interesting? I'm doing it live. 5 of the 5 global markets we are seeing based on the most observed indexes, most studied indexes, all of them are moving sideways. And for Nifty 50, I'll have to wait for a clear breakout in either direction before deciding my preferred trading direction. But I would like to look back, see how the analysis worked out beautifully. Bull, we had a bearish headwind at the very top in daily, at which point we had a cluster of bearish indecision in weekly. And the bearish headwind came at jump thrust high, price extreme high, then came a big move 3, extreme bearish momentum. We would expect price to come down from there, and it did. We could take a series of short trades one after another in individual stocks or futures or options and make profit from that. Now it is range bound. I will not trade, but I could and I did, and I publicly shared those shorting ideas, at least some of them, when I had the high probability signals showing that Nifty was most likely to come down. So Nifty large cap index is moving sideways, indecisive. India's market is heavily influenced by financials and IT stocks. There are many large cap stocks in those two categories. So let's look at Nifty banking index. That is also moving sideways. Weekly is also indecisive. So we have no preferred trading direction in Nifty Bank. Let's look at Nifty IT. Nifty IT is right at the watermark resistance. If it breaks out of the watermark resistance in daily, that will also break out from the watermark resistance in daily, sorry, in weekly. So at that point, you could look to buy individual fundamentally strong IT stocks. And I saw there are several Indian IT stocks, large IT stocks that are having fund accumulation. So you may look for those stocks at proper buy point. Now, if we look back, where could we buy earlier? We could buy on this day using the flow trend following long setup. That would be a very low risk buy point, and all the Q techniques, all the Q trade setups are asking us to buy at a swing low, which was true for this bullish flow, that is trend following long setup as well. Now I will wait. If it breaks to the upside, I will be happy to look for buying. On the other hand, if it marginally goes above the watermark resistances and then reverses immediately, then I'll be happy to look for shorts. Why so? Because the shorts will have very low risk. Stop will be very nearby, and that is one of the required criterias of all the Q trade setups. The risk must be narrow. So Nifty IT is clearly looking more bullish than Bank Nifty and Nifty 50. Now, in the last market recap, I showed small cap and mid cap, and I commented that it is difficult to find charts that are more bullish than that. And I'll not spend time on both of them, but let's look at Nifty small cap. And the analysis I am doing in the Indian market, you could do that, and I often do that for the USA market. In the market recaps, you could do that in other global markets too. The objective is to find pockets of strength and pockets of weaknesses and buy in those strong pockets and short in the weak pockets. So let's look at Nifty mid cap. small cap, sorry, SM. Let's look at small cap. Mid cap is similar. Let's look at the small cap. Let's look at the weekly. In the previous week's analysis itself, I said it is difficult to find a more bullish chart than this, even in the weekly interval. No pullback whatsoever. That was last week. What happened this week? It went up even more strongly. The slope of going up increased. It is already at jump thrust high, already at price extreme high, and is continuing to go up. The pace of going up accelerated. This looks like a possible climax run. However, climax runs are known in known after the fact, in hindsight. Now we will not be able to know for sure it is a climax run or not, but to me it looks like the people who didn't buy at a lower price point, maybe break out of these congestion areas or at the swing low point. I wouldn't buy at the breakout of congestion areas for small cap index itself, but I'm sure when those breakouts happen, there were individual small cap stocks giving low risk buy setups. So you could buy at these points. Who are buying at the top of the price last week? I think those are the people who are now reading the media news and that small cap is going up, 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 and they are thinking it is going to go up forever. That's what creates a climax run. Again, we'll know if it is a climax run or not only in the hindsight. This is certainly not a point to buy small caps as far as the small cap index is concerned. Is there a short setup? Clearly no. But if it reverses now, it has to break the trend line support in daily. There will be plenty of shorting opportunities in Indian small cap stocks using futures or options. Stocks are not shortable in the Indian market for overnight trading, but futures and options can be used for shorting, and if it breaks down the support, I think there will be plenty of very lucrative shorting opportunities in the small cap, and same will be true for mid caps also. Certainly not a time I'd like to buy, but it is very bullish. Now we saw small cap is strongest in the Indian market, and I may say ridiculously strong. Is that healthy? I don't think so. Last week's move doesn't look healthy to me at all, but it is again not a point to short. Now, what about the US market? In the last market recap, I, without ambiguity, as is my style, mentioned that my preferred trading direction was long, and it worked out very well. And again, looking back, there was hardly anyone, if anyone at all, who was bullish at the weekend last week. But I was bullish, and I specifically mentioned about IWM. And let's look at the USA market now, and I will use Q Elite running on TradeStation. See last week's candle. The weekly candle itself was indecisive in shape, even color was bearish. But I saw that price stopped right at the trend line support last Friday. And there were other bullish signals, and very importantly, low risk entry point signal, based on which I unambiguously mentioned that not only I was bullish overall on balance, but I was specifically bullish on small caps, that is IWM. And IWM went out very strongly. We can see that very clearly from the weekly chart. Now, again, I have observed it over and over again. Now many people are turning bullish on the market and also on small cap. But to me, it is already up for practically for 6 days in a row from trend line support. That's too far from swing low for me to keep buying. So at the very low point, using Q analysis, again it turned out to be accurate, and we don't need 100% accuracy, but this Q analysis accuracy rate is pretty high enough to make some profit from the market. I was bullish right at the swing low. Now it is not at swing low. And weekly is very bullish, but the daily shape is not bullish, not bearish also. So I'm not going to buy now. And that is where lies the advantage of using Q systems. I tend to be a bit ahead of others, sometimes a lot ahead of others, using unambiguous signals, and nothing is special for me. If I can do that, anybody using the Q systems just the way I am explaining in these market recaps, you could do the same thing. If you used Q systems the way I am explaining, that is the way it was designed to be used. And if you wanted to learn more about Q systems, of course, you could go to the Twitter page or X page, Superior Profit Handle, and at the very top, I have pinned the page where I have the suggested learning steps. It will take a while for you to learn the techniques and start applying them in real life, but I think it is well worth spending that time if you are serious about making some profit from the market on a consistent basis. By the way, when I am here, let me also show. I like to go to the hills or the rivers on full moon days or nights and watch the full moon rise on top of the hill, sometimes on the river as well. So this is where I was last couple of days, just came back. I think it's a beautiful place. Thailand has many beautiful places, peaceful places also, as I say. And this river is Mekong River. Mekong is a river that passes through many countries, including China, including Thailand, including Laos. And this river here, on one side is Thailand, the right hand side where we can see these buildings, that is the Thailand side. The opposite side is Laos. I like to go to this place, Mekong River. Along that, there are many beautiful places. Just came back from there. Now, coming back to Q analysis, on IWM, I was bullish and I was also so specifically for Dia again because Dia had a trend line support in the weekly, and we can see last week's candle was actually indecisive in shape, bearish in color, but these trend lines, auto smart trend lines called memory lines, work so well and they are so low risk that I was confident to declare that I was bullish on Dia also, and that worked very well as well. Now what will I do with Dia? It is now it is in the middle of the range, right in the middle of, that's a no trading area. Again, see how I am buying well ahead of others, and when others are turning bullish, I am not buying anymore. Instead, I am trying to book some profit. QQQ. QQQ is also bullish in weekly. Friday's candle is not so bullish. In fact, it opened higher but closed lower. We can see closed down also. The activity bar in red color shows that price closed below previous day's close. So that's also called probably a red candle high. In the alternative momentum signals, HJSI like signals, there is a special template for HJSI like signals. You can see red candle high. That's a bearish candle at a relatively higher price level. Not as high as jump thrust high, but at a relatively higher swing high, kind of swing high, red candle high. Later on, I will show that this red candle high is appearing in too many stocks. That's a point of concern. And again, see how when I look at multiple Q dimensions, when others are turning bullish, the Q is telling me to pause on buying. QQQ is not something I like to buy now. SPY had a strong week this week, but last 2 days candles are not bullish in shape. Price tried to go up, then came down. Yes, the color is still green. There is no short signal, but it is already too high from the recent swing low. That's not where I like to buy. So I completed the external view analysis, and none of the market ETFs are telling me that I'm at a low risk buy point, and that is the key phrase, low risk or not. There is no low risk buy point in any of the market ETFs. I would not like to buy now. I would have bought, and I declared that publicly 1 week ago. What about the internal view? Looking at Q Global market breadth. It is bullish going up from last weekend for 5 days in a row here. So my previous week's market recap, preferred trade ratio worked out very well. But now again, for the market breadth total view as a whole, it's too far above the recent swing low. I'm not going to buy now. There is no bearish signal. Now let's look at the other market dimensions. Start with sector, industry, stock breadth from Q edge. If you remember last week's picture that I shared in the market recap, that time only that Friday was bullish. Only one day was bullish. All the others were mostly bearish. But that was enough along with other Q analysis for me to turn bullish. And now I see how accurate that analysis turned out to be. Now the short term 1-2 days both are very bullish, just looking at the colors. Medium term weekly period 5 days is bullish. Long term 10 days is also bullish, but even longer term 1 month is still bearish. So from very bearish posture 1 week ago, it has turned a lot of bullish, and now I am saying I'm not going to buy anymore while others are turning bullish. If I look at the bucket analysis, it is bullish but not overbought. It will be overbought if the percentage of stocks in the uppermost bucket, that is above upper Bollinger Band, comes to 30-40% level. It is not overbought. But again, the other analysis, the external view of the market, internal view of the market, they are telling me it's not the optimal time to buy. It is bullish, but it is not the optimal time to buy. 63% of S&P 1500 stocks are above mid Bollinger Band. That's bullish, but it's not the low risk buy point. And the concern comes from also technical breadth analysis, and oftentimes you will see I get some insight from technical breadth that I don't get from others. Let's look at the weekly picture first. Technical breadth, very unique analysis, very bullish across the board for all categories, for strength category, trend continuation as well as trend reversal. Everything is bullish, hardly any bearishness at all. That may also mean that the market has already moved up a lot. That is one way to interpret this chart, but it is bullish, no bearishness. What about daily picture? Friday's picture, all categories mixed, strength more bullish than bearish, but not extreme bullishness, not extreme relative bullishness. Trend continuation, a tie. Trend reversal is actually bearish. And the concern comes from the percentage of stocks showing red candle high, that is bearish candle at swing high. Whenever it hits a threshold, this particular cell lights up. Red candle high is giving us a warning signal that said time to pause buying. So I mentioned sometimes this technical breadth analysis weekly daily interval gives me some clues about what to do, and here it is strengthening my view that it is not time to buy. In fact, if you see my last two publicly shared ideas, they were both on the non-bullish side, and this may be a time to review them. The point is not to show that a trade is making profit or not. The point is to apply a sensible analysis repetitively. One of the stocks I shared was Tyson Foods. I think I shared it where? Let's look at the post here. And this post is like coming to my trading room, to borrow the phrase from Dr. Alexander Elder. This is exactly how honed in on Tyson Foods on that day. On which day? 31st August in the morning session itself. The week was bullish, and on that day, 31st August, that was not sorry, not 31st. Yes, 31st August. I'm checking my calendar. Which day was it? Thursday. On Thursday morning session, the market was bullish, and this is a view from QH. QH is always running on one of my monitors. These graphs change in real time, telling me not only how the current market is, but it shows how the market is changing. Not only shows today's picture, but also shows previous day's picture. So today's and previous day's picture helps us see not only how the market is, but how the market is shifting. So in the morning session on Thursday, I saw market is bullish. However, consumer staples was bearish. Consumer staples was down. So sometimes if market is bullish but one sector is down, I drill down and I found packaged foods and meats industry, and you see the real-time analysis. The industry score was among bottom 20%, weak enough to short, and over 2 days period it was also showing deceleration among the bottom 20%, the worst 20%. So both in terms of deceleration and score, we could short a stock in this industry. And in the graphical form also, we could see that the relative score was coming down and the industry was actually weak, down. So I drilled down into packaged foods and meats industry, and I found Tyson Foods. TSN is the ticker. Negative earnings growth. Funds are not accumulating. Analysts are not bullish. Majority of stocks in the industry group were down at that time. Remember, I'm doing this real-time analysis in the morning session. And I saw revenue was steadily coming down quarter after quarter. So we had enough reasons, namely earnings growth being negative, enough reasons in terms of fundamentals to short the stock. And then I looked at a glance weekly daily chart. Weekly was bearish backdrop from 1 week ago, and this week was turning more bearish. Daily had only trendline resistance. It was moving sideways and then it was starting to come down. It could have confirmed a short setup by the close of the day. So how to take a trade on those days? One way would be to wait for the close of the market or just before the close of the market. In Q techniques, we don't have to wait for the market close and try the trade next day. The suggested or preferred idea preferred technique is actually to buy or short just before the market close, because this real-time analysis does not take much time to carry out, top down or bottom up. That is one way to buy or short, take the entry near the close. Another way is to use the fine-tuned precision entry chart to anticipate a trade and take the trade. If it is confirmed at the close, hold on to it. If it is not confirmed, try to exit with small profit or small loss. So this is a stock I shared in the morning session and I actually shorted it using options. TSN has liquid options. I shorted it using put options. And let's see how the day ended for TSN on Thursday. Again, the more you review these analysis, the more you build confidence on the techniques and try to adhere to that, not to try to second guess. All we need is a reasonable percentage success rate, and I think the ideas I share achieve much more than that. You may see that for yourself. So TSN on Thursday, in fact, it confirmed a bearish flow setup. Remember, in the morning session, the confirmation was not there. If we look at Q Global on Metastock, we can read the commentary also. TSN. Let's go back to the chart I shared. You will see it's just like coming to my trading room. See, when I shared the chart in the morning session, there was no confirmed flow setup, which would show up as a red bar in the ribbon at the top, but that was not there. It was starting to go down. It had bearish flow, but the bearish flow setup was not there. Only the flow signal was there. So I anticipated that it could confirm the setup, and using precision entry chart, 5-minute chart in the morning session, 10-minute in the afternoon session, I shorted it, and indeed it did confirm the short setup on Thursday near the close. So I continued to hold on to the trend. If I look at the commentary, a unique feature of Q Global on Metastock, it will read the chart just like an expert Q trader would, like I would, and I change the date. You can change the date actually to previous days or go forward, backward using the arrow keys. TSN, I went to Thursday. It indeed confirmed the flow setup as is shown here. We have setup analysis, pattern analysis, and more analysis going down. It also gave a bearish fan out pattern. The setup itself was enough to take the short trade, and anyway I shorted it using precision entry chart, using naked put options, and Friday price came down further. I noticed by Friday it hit 30% profit. I didn't exit the trade. I notice there is a trend line support nearby. I'll keep a close eye on the stock. If it hits the trend line support, maybe I will have around 50% profit. That's the initial profit target. I have already put GTC order to close partial profit at 50% of max profit. If that hits, great. If it does not hit and price starts to reverse, I will not let it turn into a losing trend. Now there is no short entry or long entry point on TSN, because now it is moving inside a narrow range already near the lower edge. That's not a point I'd like to short. I already shorted right when price was coming down from trendline resistance. That is the Q technique. Try to buy or short at lower risk points, which was Thursday short side for TSN. I'm not trying to find many trading ideas this week because you saw market is bullish but not at a point that is low risk for me to buy. So I would not like to look at many stocks, but I'm spending the time to review the stocks I shared. That's like, again, like come to my trading room. The other stock I shared, and I think that was also on Twitter. That was CMCSA, Comcast, a very well-known stock, CMCSA. And let's read the Q charts weekly, daily at a glance. In weekly, we had a cluster, we have actually cluster of indecision. One itself is enough to take note of, and a cluster is more serious. It's not a trade setup, but it's a bearish cluster of indecision at the top. That's a point of concern. That's not a time where I'd like to buy. Yes, the stock is very strong. Even the industry was weak. This stock was very strong, but now is not the time to buy if we follow Q techniques. That is what the weekly is telling. In daily, it hit jump thrust high at price extreme high. Then at the very top, at the real very top came the bearish headwind. How unique was that? Price came down, retested the watermark created by the bearish headwind and fell down with bearish flow with a possible flow setup that I would not consider because there are multiple trend line supports. I never like to short near trend line support, never like to buy near trend line resistance. So I shared it as an analysis. Q techniques not only tell us what to buy, what to short, but when to come out or protect profit. So if you are holding a long position in Comcast, I think if this trend line support is broken, one should book at least partial profit, or one may hedge the position if the position is for long term. There are enough bearish signals to not continue to hold it at this high jump thrust, high price, extreme high price level, especially if the trend lines are broken. So I noticed that and I shared it on September 1, that is Friday, and I noticed the industry, cable and satellite industry. The industry is actually weak for quite a long time. So Comcast was not weak on price chart. It was going up. So Comcast is a leader in the industry, but leaders also don't keep on going up forever. And the weekly daily charts are saying it's not a time to buy. You may protect profit if you are holding long positions. I'll not short because there are many trend line supports. So I shared last two stock ideas. One was not bullish, Comcast. One was bearish, Tyson Foods. Both are okay. Let's see how Comcast did on Friday at the close. I shared that tweet on Friday itself and it stopped right at the trend line support. That's one reason. I keep on showing over and over again how beautifully the trend line supports work. Remember, that's why that was one of the reasons I was bullish on IWM and Dia last week when nobody was probably bullish. So they worked pretty well for me to be that confident, and you could be so confident also. The point is that those are low risk entry points. So you may have to observe it for a while to get that confidence. So it stopped at trend line resistance. I'm not going to short now, but I'm not buying also now, looking at so many weakness signals. As I mentioned, I'm not trying to look for trades in general in this session. It's just trying to share a disciplined approach of trading reliably. But having said that, I have some time and I noticed on Q Finder there was an extreme high percentage of stocks showing red candle high. Why not we spend some time on these stocks? I don't know what will come of that. Let's go to the bearish signals. Let's, in fact, it is in the momentum signals. Let's flag for red candle high down stocks. I have now 84 stocks that went down on Friday. Friday was not a bearish day, and you can see there are 84 stocks. These are all liquid stocks, and I only look at liquid stocks, by the way. Sometimes I share a stock with Q360 degrees analysis, and when I'm trying to trade, I see it is illiquid. If so, I do not trade. Why did I mention that? I shared a stock earlier, I don't know, on Twitter or on the traders forum. Was it on traders forum? Let's go to my website superiorprofit.co, click on forum here. Forum has multiple categories. These 360 degrees category here, I share live analysis similar to Twitter, and I in fact shared one analysis saying this stock is so weak that you may look for a short setup. This was ASND, and why not we review again? The consistency of the approach will give consistency of outcome. It is biotech, very weak industry. On that day, 30th August, I'm sharing again in the morning session using real-time analysis. The real-time score was weak. Real-time percentage was showing the biotech industry was down. I found ASND down by more than 2% at that time. Overvalued stocks, funds are not buying, earnings quality is poor. Earnings is coming on 5th September, not making any money whatsoever, revenue coming down. EPS is also down, so there is no earnings. That's not uncommon for biotechs, but in any case, industry was weak, fundamental was weak, and I looked at the chart. The weekly chart had trendline resistance and support both, but the distance to support was far enough to take a technical shot using daily, and daily showed the unique bearish headwind reversal signal while it created a false upside breakout at the white direction line. Overall, it was downtrending. It gave me a technical low risk short point. It had a bear release signal also. I try to mark out the important signal. Sometimes I may miss something, but remember, if you are not having Q systems, how to know what the signals are? You may refer to the learning repository here, superiorprofit.co learn. Everything is open to the public. You will be able to read the signals. I don't spend time to highlight every signal, the meaning of that, because in the learning repository I have already explained those. So technically, it's a good point that I came here. Technically, it gave a very low risk short setup, but when I tried to actually short the trade, actually the bid ask spread was just too wide, not only for options, even for the stock itself. The bid ask spread was so wide, I would not trade it. So keep that in mind. The ideas I shared, they are trying to showcase a disciplined approach, disciplined analysis of market and industry, sector, stocks, fundamentals. But before trading anything, first of all, you have to know what you are doing. These are not trade tips. And secondly, if it is not liquid, I don't suggest, even if everything is okay, not suggest buying or shorting. So ASND in fact was a stock where analysis was great. If it was a liquid stock, I would have shorted, but it was not liquid. Having said that, let's come to Finder. These are all liquid stocks because I ran the Finder scans on liquid stocks universe only. And how many stocks went down on Friday with red candle high? 84. That is quite a large number. Now, I will like to see if they have any Q trade setup. These are momentum signals. These are not trade setups. So using one single click, I look up the Q table, all those stocks, 84 stocks again. the same stocks, but I came from momentum tab to bearish tab, and I'm going to click this button to only focus on stocks that have possible bearish setup. I end up with only 8. So starting with thousands of stocks based on technical analysis, bottom-up analysis, I very quickly came to 8 stocks that have red candle high and that have probable short setup. And I noticed that one at the top has 3 possible short setups. It's actually sorted by number of possible trade setups when you click this button. Now we'll have to look at the stock charts to confirm if we have a low risk entry point. So why don't we do that? Let's click the chart icon to open the stock. Great, lovely. See, instantly I'm doing it live. I can decide whether to buy or short. This had 3 setups. What were the possible 3 setups? Let's go back to Finder. One is a pullback, that is it retraced, in this case bearish one. So it retraced to resistance, yellow direction line came down. That's a trend following short setup. It also had a flow trend following short setup. It also has a breakout short setup, and it has a fan out pattern, went down by 3.6%. So pullback, flow, breakout setup, and fan out pattern. You can see that from Finder. You could see that from Q Elite also. If you ran Q Elite's Finder, why don't we do that? That was CCRN. Q Elite on TradeStation. That also shows the same signal. It has a possible breakout short setup, flow setup, pullback setup, fan out bearish pattern, and it has a red candle high. Yes, it has a ISOL failure also, MOBO breakout, and reversal candle as well. So same signals and setups on different platforms. That is the daily. Now we could also read it from commentary. Isn't it beautiful? Commentary, I love it, and if you are using Q systems, the beginning periods, you will love it also because it reads the charts just as I would read it. 3 possible short setups, breakout, trend following, fan out pattern as well. Now to confirm the setup, I would like to look at it using weekly, daily at a glance template. Weekly is bullish in color. So the flow bearish setup is not applicable if we apply the checklist conditions. But that is fine because we have a breakout setup, breakdown setup specifically, and also a pullback short setup, and we have now a flow signal. So that is good enough reason for me to short. Technically the stop would be just above Friday's candles high. That is a low risk short point. Now I also see it has a reversal candle. We saw that from Q Elite also. That is also bearish. On a bullish market day, this has a very strong reversal with multiple short setups. Now let's complete the 360 degrees analysis, CCRN. Let's look at its fundamentals using Q Vital first. Q Vital fundamental scorecard analysis tool and also peer analysis tool can be used to check one stock's scorecard and do a peer analysis, or you could run the fundamental scorecard of your trading universe. Like all liquid stocks can be used in multiple ways. First it retrieved scorecard of the stock, then retrieved all the peer stocks, 49 peers in healthcare services. now retrieving data about the 49 stocks, and it has completed their scorecard analysis. Valuation is good, but negative earnings growth in Q Techniques, any one of them is enough for me to short. So earnings growth allows me to short, and if I look at the graph, year over year quarterly earnings growth steadily coming down, very weak. Year over year quarterly revenue growth also steadily coming down, very weak. In terms of fundamentals, that is enough for me to short. What about its industry scorecard? Do one click to check the industry scorecard from Q Edge, and instantly visually I see it is one of the bottom 20%, and it is a down industry on Friday. So now we have found, using live analysis, a 360-degree short candidate CCRN. And how did I come here? First I looked at Q Finder and I saw there was a large number of red candle highs, and I mention this often. When we have a large percentage of something, in this case red candle high, sometimes it could be breakout setup, sometimes it could be flow setups. When the percentage is high, it is easier to find trades in those categories. So that is why I started with red candle high. It is not by chance. Whenever there is a high percentage of some setup or signal, it's easier to find trade setups from there. That's why I started with red candle high stocks today, and I found one stock. There are other stocks possible, and that is how you apply the Q techniques. You could do that using during market hours just before the close. You could even do it in the morning. I can see the breakout was happening right after the open. So let's look at the precise entry chart also. Remember Tyson Foods, how I shorted in the early morning, and I have nice profit, about 30% profit using naked puts. CCRN. The stock first tried to go up, but it has weak fundamentals, weak industry. We are not going to try to buy. The moment it went below early range low, what was that price level? Let's find out. That price level, if you read from this right axis, 25.65, when it went below early range low. Let's go back to the daily chart, 25.65. The trend line support was broken at 25.65, exactly same point. How nice. So right when the trend line support was breaking on the intraday precision entry chart, it went below early range low. That gave us a daily breakout possible setup, was to be confirmed at the close, and using early range breakout technique we could short it right at that time. If I go back to the early range chart, precision entry chart, let's see if I can go back there. Here, when we short it at early range low, expecting a daily breakout short setup to be confirmed at the close, for the day our stop would be just above day's high in this case. And one way I follow is when the risk distance is covered, you could book at least partial profit, or watch it so that if the stock reverses after covering reward risk ratio equal to more than 1, you would not let it turn into a loss. However, at the close of the day, there would not be any reason to close the entire position. Sometimes what I also do at the end of the day, if I have good profit, or at the reward risk equal to 1 or greater than 1 point, if I have good profit, I may close the short stock position and just buy naked puts using part of the profit. That way it's a guaranteed risk-free trade going forward. In either approach, I would continue to hold a short position in CCRN if you entered it using early range breakout technique, which was giving a daily breakout setup on real-time charts. That is how I shorted Tyson Foods on Thursday, and that is how you could short CCRN on Friday. We are at 1 hour point. Again, these analysis are to showcase a disciplined approach to trading, aligning as many dimensions as possible to our trades, not trade tips, and they tend to work out great probably as trade tips, but that's not how I would like to share them. Let me end today's session here. Once again, last week I turned bullish. This week I am not buying. Last two stock ideas I shared were not bullish. One was specifically bearish, that was Tyson Foods. All of them are working out quite well in aggregate. That shows once again that Q techniques allows you to be a little bit ahead, and in trading a little bit ahead goes a long way in profitability. That is why I say if you are following a disciplined approach like Q, probably Q, there is no reason not to do that. You I all may trade profitably. I wish for that for you. Have a great weekend, and I look forward to seeing you again in the next weekend's market recap. Thank you.